I can't believe it that this renovation we have been talking about, dreaming about for so long is finally happening. I would call today day one. The builders have come and dropped off all the scaffolding and they're going to start erecting it around the house. So I think that's going to happen over the next few days and I will show you kind of what that looks like. They've cut down one of the trees we had in front of our window, which we were going to actually remove and potentially replace with something else anyway. So that's kind of been quite convenient. And they removed a tree on the side of the property that our neighbors didn't like. We didn't like it either. It was this really old wiry yucca, which it didn't do anything for us and it wasn't really creating any privacy or anything, so they've taken that down as well, which has been really good. But yeah, I will show you what it looks like in our backyard right now, how full of scaffolding it is, and there's actually, I can see there's a whole bunch of stuff on the front of the street as well. So yeah, it's all about to start happening. Oh, and I did remember to take some video yesterday of the facade of the house so you can kind of see how that changes throughout the renovation and the process, and I can do some really neat before and afters once everything is complete too. Okay, it's really quite sunny, but this is the current state of our backyard full of scaffolding.
Here today we have the roof strip. So the boys are just stripping all the roof tiles and the roof patterns. We also have the scaffolder on site, finishing up this last ladder beam at the front. What a beautiful day today. Got both Luke's over there stripping the last final tiles and battens. And then the top will go on. And I'm Michael, the site supervisor. Have a good day, guys.
It is day 5 of our renovation and today the roof actually came off. It wasn't supposed to come off until Monday. However, with some scheduling, they decided to get that done today. I thought we could chat through and I could share with you some of the color options that we're considering for our kitchen cabinetry. We're doing a mix, so I'll talk through that. Actually, our pendant lights were above the dining table arrived today. We ended up going with those beautiful Muto lights, which I'm really excited about. I think they're going to look just stunning, hanging above the dining table. In the end, and actually based on some advice I received from my friend Sonia, we realized that the dining table is only ever going to go in one place in this house, just with the actual dimensions of the room. So it kind of made sense to do it, and we thought, why not have a really spectacular light there? So anyway, the finishes for the kitchen. I went out to have a meeting with the kitchen joinery company on Wednesday. So before I went, we'd already settled on the Caesar stone that we want to use. We're going to use the white Impura, and it looks like, sorry, Impura white, should I say. So that is the sample that we've got, and for us, I think it's a really beautiful and quite striking sort of a statement maker for the kitchen. And so we're kind of centering everything else around that. The finishes of the oven and the fridge that we're going to have are going to be in a black. So that's that one. And then we know that the cabinetry that we're going to do, at least on the bottom half and for our pantry, are going to be in an oak texture. So the two that we are currently looking at are the Polytech Ravine in natural oak, and then also the Polytech, this is the melamine in plantation ash wood mat. So you can kind of get a sense of them side by side. So the Ravine has a little bit of texture to it, and essentially they said with this particular type of cabinetry, we either want texture or we want to have less graining because they will look more expensive. And then for the cabinets at the top, I've got 5 options here. I'm not sure whether we're going to go light or dark. It's either one or the other. And the designer has suggested we go light up top because our range hood is going to be black, and that is going to be with the Impura white Caesar stone, which is probably going to go up to the ceiling or at least up to a floating shelf. It's going to be a real statement. So let that have its moment rather than do dark cabinetry, but we're not sure because we saw a kitchen we love, and I'll put it on screen so you can see the inspiration, which was a really dark green. So these are the 2 dark colors we've got. So there's Laminex Terrell, which is a really dark gray, and then we have Polytech Melamine Botanic Smooth, which is this lovely dark green. And on the lighter end of the spectrum, we have Laminix Moleskin, which is this kind of creamy color. Then we have Laminix Oyster Grey, which is a blue toned light grey. And then we have there's Polytech Thermo Valdelho Smooth, which is a very light green. So those are kind of what we're playing around with at the moment, sort of seeing how they look. I would quite like to potentially consider maybe a sagey, earthy colored green, but my husband's not too sold on it. So I think at the moment we're either going with something really light and bright or something really deep and moody. So not really sure which way we will swing in the end, but yeah, maybe we'll end up getting a few more samples before we actually make a final decision, as it is really going to be a focal point of the room when you enter the house. So we want to really take our time with choosing, at least as much time as we can. Anyway, I can hear my son calling out for me, so I had better go, but I'll check in with you guys a bit later. Hello, I thought I would do a little bit of an update, as I haven't been the best at vlogging, but I have captured some video footage while I have been going to the house. We have now moved out and we are living in a rental property, so we have a 6-month short-term lease. And essentially what we did, for anyone curious, is I called up the agents who we leased our previous home from, and I asked them whether there was any 6-month leases available, and they actually had a property. So we got an off-market viewing and it all just ended up working out. It's a cute little character home as well, really cozy, but definitely has everything we need. And I love the fireplace that we have in our bedroom. It is so very pretty. And I've just been down to the house because I wanted to collect a few more bits and pieces, and I did shoot some footage. So I shot some footage from the day that the electrician came in and started doing their rough-in, so you can kind of see the before in terms of what our kitchen space and living space looked like. Unfortunately, I didn't have any time to film this or take photos before we moved our furniture out. It was all so hectic, and yeah, hopefully that'll do, because I really want to share before and afters of the spaces so you can get a really good sense of how everything has transformed. But when I went down this morning, they've ripped out half of the kitchen and also part of the ceiling as well. So that is crazy, and it's just quite exciting for me because you can start to really visualize and see how that space is going to change and become a lot more functional for us, which is going to be great. Now, I did actually get a question, and I thought this would be the perfect time to answer it, so I'll read it out. So basically, I got asked to share more about our planning process. How do we choose a builder? Did they take you through everything you needed to do, or did you project manage it yourself? So I shared last year that we'd engaged an architect. He is the brother-in-law of one of my very good friends, and he drew up some plans for us. And those initial plans were actually just to extend the footprint of the home on the ground floor level, so not going up at all. And it was really funny. We got a builder out. He was someone that a friend of mine had used who lives a few suburbs away, and so we felt like word of mouth is always a good place to sort of start when it comes to finding a builder, and he'd done quite a lot of work in their home. So we got him to come over, and he just did not seem keen to do our job at all. I think he felt like it was going to be a lot of structural work because we're taking out a load-bearing wall, and he kept saying this is going to be very expensive. This is going to be very expensive. And at that point, I thought, well, we need to get more than one quote. That's obviously, you've got to do your due diligence. And I found another company who actually specialize in first floor additions. So the company is called 32 Degrees. You will have seen the guys' shirts when they were working on the roof. And we were really surprised to actually find that doing a first floor addition, which would add more to the footprint of the home in general, as opposed to taking up a little bit more of the land mass, our front and backyard sort of space, we were really surprised to see that it was sort of within the budget of what we wanted to spend on the renovation. So we reached out to them, and they had someone come out and do a sort of a site check. They had a draftsman come out, and you have to pay a fee. And then we sort of told him what we wanted to do. We had very, very specific ideas for downstairs, and then we kind of said what we wanted upstairs, and they actually drew up plans that were perfect. We barely had to go back. There are a couple of points that we sort of asked them to change, but that all kind of happened reasonably quickly. It was more the part of the project that probably took the longest was going through the contract and with a fine-tooth comb, because we wanted to ensure that everything that we wanted to do was included. Now, they're actually doing all of the project management themselves. So they did the council submission for us, and they're on site every single day. We've gotten a rental just up the road, so we're able to go back to the house every single day as well and sort of answer any questions, and they'll just call. So they've been awesome from that perspective too. I will say it was a much longer process in terms of what we expected just with the DA approval. I kept being like, our rent's going to start soon, our rent's going to start soon, and no. It was kind of towards the end of last year that we were ready to submit our plans to the council. So yeah, definitely something to be mindful of if you are planning out a build yourself and sort of wondering what the timeline will be like. But yeah, that is the question I wanted to answer. If you have any other kind of questions like that that you're curious about, then please do let me know. I'll share as much about the process as I can. Don't forget, I'm not an expert by any means, but hopefully it will give you a little bit of insight into the process and experience that we've had. I'm going to sign this video off here as I think it's been a little bit of a long one, so hopefully you are enjoying coming along with us for the process. I just can't wait to see our house transform even more. I can't believe they've torn out the kitchen. Just wow, awesome, very, very cool. All right, I'll see you guys with my next update very soon. Bye.